Chapter 2. A House Divided. The morning sun darted between the clouds. Its glare was so bright that Trixie had been forced to squint at the times it was out in the open sky. The unicorn looked around for something to shade her eyes, but instead she met the gaze of an angry cattle farmer sitting upon a fence. The earth pony farmer glared at Trixie as he pushed a flap in his vest aside to show he was carrying a small pouch of spherical iron bullets on him. "Friendly folks you have here," Trixie whispered sarcastically to Ellie. Having nodded in the farmer's direction, "I am still sounding like Rarity to me." The Pegasus smiled at the unicorn and didn't pick up on the cynical tone. "Sure do. Living in a small town like Saddlestone means you get to know everyone." "I was being sarcastic," Trixie corrected. "That farmer back there gave me the stink eye." Now she suddenly has a British accent? What is even happening? Don't fret none about him," Ellie assured. Talking is hard. Farmer Brahmin isn't a bad pony. He just doesn't know you yet. Brahmin had some cows stolen recently, so don't blame him for being a bit suspicious of strangers. I'm sure he'll come around once he gets to know you better." "I'm not sure if I want anyone to," Trixie muttered to herself. As the two continued to walk toward the north edge of town, Trixie slowed her pace by a minuscule amount and glanced at Ellie's backside. Indeed, where the young Pegasus should have a left wing, there was instead a fleshy stump lacking any feathers at all. Trixie wondered how she missed such a detail earlier. Her own selfish thoughts seemed to block out others at times, and when those diamond dogs gave chase, it certainly had Trixie thinking solely about self-preservation above all else. Then again, this Pegasus did cause Trixie a big heap of trouble today. "Say, Ellie," Trixie began to inquire, "why did you write that fictitious article about me?" Ellie's smile seemed to fade slightly as the Pegasus thought for a moment before she answered. "Well, the town has been plagued with bandits and diamond dogs for a while now. Roxy and her posse are pretty much the source of the troubles, in my opinion, but there isn't anyone around with the gumption to stand up to them." "Deputy Valiant stood up to them," Trixie stated with a puzzled look. Trixie's voice is ever-changing. "Yeah, but..." Ellie faltered. "I mean, he's a right brave pony, but he couldn't take them dogs on in a serious fight. Roxy knows that, so she just likes to toy with him for fun. I figured if I could spread a rumor that a powerful unicorn was coming to challenge them, they would back off a bit and leave us all alone." "Why did you choose me, though?" Trixie asked emphatically. "I now admit some flattery with your choice, but why did you not say Canterlot was sending the royal guard? For that matter, why not write that one of the princesses would be coming?" "Well, I didn't want to get in trouble for writing a lie about them," Ellie confessed. Trixie's expression went deadpan. "Really? That's the best excuse you have?" Ellie blushed a bit and looked at the ground. Well, I mean, every pony knows where the princesses are and what they're doing all the time. I figured since there was no news about you for some time that I could get away with my idea without someone seeing a conflict about your location." Trixie slowly shook her head in disbelief. "Why do I feel like I have just been insulted?" "I'm sorry," Ellie sadly apologized as she met Trixie's gaze. "I'm sorry I got you into a heap of trouble out here. I'll understand if you're all beer and Skittles with me and just want to go home." Trixie saw sincerity in Ellie's eyes, even if she wasn't sure what beer and Skittles had to do with anything. The unicorn shrugged and looked up into the clouds as she responded. "I suppose being mad isn't going to change things. Look, I'll stay the night at your place, and come tomorrow morning I'll write Canterlot a proper letter of appeal to help your town before I leave. No more using my name in your feather-brained ideas, okay?" Ellie started to smile again. "Okay, you have a deal." I don't know what's going on with Ellie's voice, and Trixie's voice isn't at all what it used to be. I don't know what's going on. Ellie and Trixie reached the edge of town. They stopped in front of a lone two-story cabin separated from the nearest neighbor by a modest distance. The building's windows were all completely boarded up, while the front door appeared to have been kicked in before and hastily repaired with a couple nailed strips of iron. The front porch awning sagged so heavily that it was braced up with random planks of wood. Trixie's definition of safe did not seem to match this building's appearance. Death trap sprung to mind. Words. "Quaint little place you have here," Trixie remarked, going for a polite lie. Ellie nodded proudly as she walked up the porch and towards the door. "It isn't so bad, though a bit dark since we haven't gotten around to replacing the windows yet." Trixie shrugged. "I have a light spell," she stated. Trixie wondered if the inside was just as run down looking. After all, the Pegasus had a distinct aroma of grease about her, and the cutie mark of a hammer and screwdriver would put Trixie's guess that Ellie was some variation of a mechanic in this town. Ellie opened the door slowly and shouted, "Ma, I'm home!" before she stepped inside. Trixie followed her inside and took a look around. The interior was a fairly clean and orderly home. There were several notable piles of clutter, composed mostly of tools and mechanical parts like springs, gears, and levers. However, the piles were at least organized into out-of-the-way corners and somewhat stacked neatly. The unicorn let out a mute sigh of relief over the acceptable condition these ponies lived in. In fact, Trixie admitted to herself that the volume of mechanical stuff around the place was impressive. Ellie showed Trixie over to the kitchen, where a much older earth pony sat alone. She bore a sagging light brown coat with a very grayed mane that hung unkempt. Trixie's eyes moved from her lasso cutie mark to the dark gray blindfold she wore. The old pony reached out into the air for Ellie. "Dear me, Ellie," the old mare began. Oh my God, her voice is terrible. "I was feeling a bit peckish and came in here looking for something to eat, but I think I knocked something off the counter." She pointed to the empty floor. Nothing indicated an object was knocked over. Ellie held her mother's hoof and led her to the living room. "It's all right, Ma. I'll fix you something to eat. Why don't you sit in your favorite rocking chair?" As Ellie assisted her mother in sitting down, she glanced over to Trixie. The unicorn stood out in the dark room, much like a lit coal stood out in a shadow. "Oh, Ma, I have a guest with me." Ellie happily gestured to Trixie. I can't do their voices right now. This is terrible. I'm not doing this justice. "Ma, this is the great and powerful Trixie. Trixie, this is my mama, Lisa Sprocket." Trixie bowed out of courtesy and cleared her throat. "How do you do?" Lisa smiled and slowly waved to the space before her. Forgive this mess of a house," she stated. "I haven't gotten around to sweeping the floors today." She rocked slowly in her chair, and Ellie excused herself to return to the kitchen. Trixie sat on the adjacent padded love seat, the only other sitting space in the room. The old wood creaked slightly under her weight. She didn't know what to say, and simply remained quiet, looking at the room's decor. Trixie noticed that there were a few family portraits that hung on one wall, which illustrated younger versions of Lisa, Ellie, and a Pegasus stallion that Trixie assumed to be Ellie's father. Trixie wondered about the story that arose to such a union, a Pegasus and an earth pony. "What is it you do for a living?" Lisa asked, breaking the silence gently. Trixie snapped out of her trance. "Excuse me?" she responded with confusion. "Your talent, my dear," Lisa repeated. "Your name sounds a bit familiar to these old ears, but I cannot place it. Ellie said you are a great and powerful pony." "I am," Trixie answered. "Well, was at one point. I'm no longer using that moniker." "Why not?" Lisa prodded. "With a title like yours, you must have quite a talent. It breaks my heart when a pony doesn't use the gifts given to them." Trixie frowned a bit. She felt like she was being reviewed under a critical eye, from a blind pony, no less. "I'm trying to fix my reputation," Trixie explained. "I've lied about some of my exploits and done a few things I'm not proud of. I don't know if I'll ever be acknowledged as anything but a fraud, though."